Hey, what's up, everybody? So I am, just online. It's a little late, and I, saw this headline, and I just thought I'd make a really quick video before I go to bed. So, federal prosecutors want to push back R. Kelly's trial date in Chicago because of COVID-19. So, this article just came out today, or at least I am just becoming aware of it today, and it's basically citing some problems with the R. Kelly trial because of COVID-19. Now, this is no news, no new news to us because everybody knows that there's been lots of complications with COVID-19 and just getting court hearings in general. And everyone knows R. Kelly has been trying to get out of prison and citing COVID-19 as one of the reasons, in addition to him having health concerns. And now they're looking to push the date even further back, right? So I don't know what to think about this. According to this article, Greenberg has yet to respond. Well, actually, let me correct myself. I think he actually responded, but his response is essentially saying that he has been having problems communicating with his client in general. But overall, I don't know what to think about this because, on one hand, pushing the court date back further could do R. Kelly well. It's my own personal opinion that the later the trial date, the better. And the reason I say this is because I would want, if I was in his shoes, I would want to get into a space where the hype has kind of died out. And I've always thought that there is some type of unseen hand in all of this, that tries to keep negative information in the media. And I would want to try to, drag it out so we get to a point where the hype is gone. And right now, because this thing is kind of fresh, it's kind of new, there's still a lot of excitement. There's still a lot of hype behind it. And you would want to get away from that, before you go to trial. You will want a chance for this stuff to get away from the media. But it's difficult for me to take a position like that if I'm sitting in prison. So I don't really know what to think. If I'm sitting in prison and I can't get out on bail, then I guess I could reach a point of time where I would just want to just go ahead and go to trial and get this thing over with. And that's probably what they want him to. That's probably the situation they want him in. I don't know. But nonetheless, the prosecutors are looking to push the trial court date further back. And I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. I don't know if it basically does. I don't know if it's good for R. Kelly. I don't even know if it's good for the prosecutors. Because, well, one of the reasons the prosecutors are wanting to push this thing back is because they are citing that they have at least 50 witnesses, and these witnesses are coming from several states, and some of these states are on the list for COVID-19 restrictions. Being that these are they. I assume from the way the article read that these people are coming from high risk states, and they're going to have problems coming into Chicago to testify. So, I mean, I guess that wouldn't be good for the prosecutor, but I mean, 50 witnesses seems like an extreme amount of people in general. I would, I would question, how they came up with 50 witnesses in this particular case. But that's neither really here nor there. They're trying to push the court date back, and I don't know what would be the better move for R. Kelly. Should he push for a more recent hearing date? Should he push? Should he just go along with the flow and actually push the date further back? So at this point, it takes a lot of thought in terms of what the strategy should be on making a decision on how to handle this, right? And like I said, me personally, I would want to push the date further back. I don't know how R. Kelly is actually doing in prison. if and nobody can really truly be comfortable in prison, but I was going to say that if he feels that he's at a reasonably safe place in prison, and he can actually risk having the date pushed back, I would say push it back. And of course, you have the bail hearing that's coming up on September 9th. If he gets out on the bail hearing, then I say, yeah, push it back. Definitely push it back. If he gets out on bail, and they're still pushing to push back the trial dates, I would say push the trial date further back. I would, Daddy Lolo, what's up, man? How you feel? That's not likely a problem that got a problem getting witnesses into the trial. Yeah, I mean, but that's what they're citing. They're citing that they have 50 witnesses and they're coming from high risk states. So I mean, but what do you think? Do you think R. Kelly should go with the flow, and just like let the trial date get pushed further back? So I don't know. I'm more prone to just push the trial date back. And the bail hearing is coming September 9th, I believe. And if he gets out on bail, then at that point he's good. So that's really all I wanted to really get on here and talk about. Like I said, I saw this article and I just thought it was interesting news, and I thought I would just hop on really quick and share. Definitely, chime in on your thoughts on the trial date. Let me know what you think. Should he fight the pushing back of the trial dates, or should he just go with the flow? Should he just go with the flow and let the trial dates get pushed further back? Lowdown, what's going on? You know what? Let me see if I can find a way to put the link on this live stream. I always forget how to do this, and maybe we can just get you guys to come in and talk. That's what I say. That's what I say. But let me see if I can get the link to this live stream. Actually, one second. I believe this is the live stream link. Are you guys able to hop in from the UK? Yeah, but it's tough though. Like, we don't know how he's doing in prison. Irish Soul for Kelly. We don't know how he's doing in prison. Like, if he's not doing well in prison, then obviously you want to get that date moved up. So yeah, I mean, so that's essentially it. Not going to really spend a lot of time with this. I don't know if anybody can actually click that link and hop on, but I was really feeling like I wanted to have a really quick conversation about these trial dates. More than likely, it's going to be pushed back. It looks like even in Chicago, they're just starting to have court hearings on just in general, and this is like one of the cases that they want to push back. They didn't actually give a specific date on how far they wanted to push it back, but they want to push it back. No more pushing the date back, huh? Why do you say that? Carlita Collier. Why not push the date back? What's wrong with pushing the date back? So if you're up and you want to chime in on this, definitely hop into the live stream, have a quick conversation with the non-lawyer. I would say push it back. Whether he gets out on bail or not, he no longer needs to. He the longer he holds out, the better. Yeah, that's the better it is for me. Yeah, I mean, I would say that the longer you wait, because you got a lot of hype in the media, and to me, it just seems like you want that fire to just kind of die down. So, oh, for him, the better it is for him. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of hype in the media, and to me, it seems like every time something is about to happen in court, they spam the internet or social media with some negativity. And actually, this is the first time I've actually noticed that there's going to be a hearing, and there's not been any negative news flashes. So everyone knows about the hearing. Yeah, it's been a year. It's been a year. All right, we got someone trying to come in. Low down.
Hey, how are you?
What's going on?
Not too much. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, I'm gonna hop on for a couple of minutes. I have some things to do, but I said I'm gonna hop on and just kind of chime in.
Push back or have the case. Is that my? I'm getting a lot of static. Is that my mic, or are you guys hearing static, or is it only when I'm talking to you, Lowdown?
You always get static when it comes to me. Hang on one second. Hang on. Okay.
All right, that sounds
Can
so
you hear
much
me?
better. I can hear you pretty good, Daddy
Okay. I'm
Lolo.
sorry about that.
That's okay. So you first, Lowdown. Push back or have the trial right away. Let me know what you think and why.
Well, I think if they push it back, that's fine. However, a couple of things. I think if they push it back, then they should let him out due to COVID. Since they're saying that they are pushing it back because their witnesses are having problems flying there, then he should be allowed to get out due to COVID, since then it makes the playing field even. So I think they should allow him to do that as well. Plus, Greenberg did give an interview. I think it was a couple of weeks ago that said that he hasn't seen the client in about 4.5 months. So right now, I think pushing it back would be more of an advantage for him and getting out, because if they were going to court or starting trial in October, he wouldn't have a fair trial anyway because they haven't had an adequate time to prepare. And he also said that I think he tells is locked down 24 hours a day because of COVID, and the phone calls have tremendously decreased. So that's another thing. But most important is that by this case being pushed back, I think what happens is that the so called victims become less credible.
Mm,
To me, is more of an advantage to the defense.
mm,
And also, depending on, so we know New York is going to go first. And part of that, which I was reading the other day, part of that I guess the not the testimony, but part of that hearing or the information in there can be used for Chicago. So I think that honestly, this is not such a bad thing, but allow him to get out.
and you know what? You make a really good point. If you're going to argue that we need to push the case back because of complications due to Corvid, then you need to let them out due to complications of Corvid. You can't have your cake and eat it too, as they say, because on one hand you're acknowledging
Exactly.
that Corvid is causing all these problems. Then on the other hand, you're saying that you're not going to let him out because COVID is not a reasonable excuse. Or if it's not a reasonable excuse to let him out, then it's not a reasonable excuse to push the court date back. But it should be pushed back because everything you just said actually is in the article. Greenberg basically said he hasn't seen the client. Daddy Lolo, what's up, man?
What's going on with you? On my way to pick up my auntie from work.
Oh, I heard you. I heard that.
Um, I was saying the same thing. Like, if they're gonna let them out, then I guess you go ahead and push it back. But if they don't let him out, then go ahead and do the trial because he could get the decision reversed, even if he gets found, guilty.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. You because you know what, and this could be interesting. I don't know. I mean, that's a risky move though. That's a serious risk. Man, that it's very 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 risky. Because basically, to me, it sounds like what you're saying is that you can do the trial, test the prosecutor's case, and then you still have a strong chance of having that decision overturned because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
I agree with him. I agree. I agree. Because think about it. Someone said we were. I was talking to a friend today. What is the chances of him getting convicted? I can't imagine there not being one person on that jury who is not a fan of R. Kelly and who does not believe that he has been overcharged.
Well, hold on a second there. Now, the jury selection is going to be kind of another game that has to be played. There's so many layers to this thing,
Hmm.
and the jury selection is going to be yet another layer. You could possibly end up with a jury full of people who only likes country music. You know what I mean? So there's no telling what the jury pool is going to look like, and then from that pool, there's no telling on what you're going to end up with. So
That's true. That's
that's
true.
the game to be played. You would hope that the majority of the people in the jury would be African American, coming from common backgrounds, and they would know about R. Kelly. But you don't know you know who's going to be in a jury. It could be all conservatives, right?
Yeah. And then this is so funny because my colleague has been on about five federal juries,
Mm.
and he's right on that border of New Jersey and New York. And I told him, I said, what is the chances of you getting on that case? But like he said, and most people are saying that he's been clearly overcharged.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
He's been
With the
overcharged.
well, you know what? Honestly, I I kind of think he can beat most of the charges. Like the RICO charge is just 100% nonsense. And I've made videos about the RICO charge. All those videos are on my page, but it's 100% nonsense.
A
So
non-lawyer
go ahead.
dealing with that RICO charge. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, if he was to get found guilty of that RICO thing, and they gave him like a year or two for it, then time served will come into play.
It could, yeah. I mean, yeah, that sounds reasonable, but the problem with the RICO charge is not the time that you're going to get from the RICO charge. The problem with the RICO charge is that they're trying to stack the deck and they're trying to use it to bring in a lot of old garbage. And it's just a, what's the word I wanted? It's just a reason to bring in all this old stuff and stack the deck. And once that deck is stacked, they're going to try to use that to justify, the other charges, which is going to give him a serious sentence. Like I did a sentence calculation in one of the videos. I think it's
Yeah, I
called the
remember
time.
that.
Yeah, the time that R. Kelly can get if he loses. So the RICO charge in and of itself is de minimis, as they say, because they're only using it as a bridge. Um, so I don't think it's a RICO charge. Let me see how much time you actually get from a RICO charge. But go ahead. I mean, I don't know. I think he can beat the RICO charge. The charge I would be worried about, though, is the conspiracy to defraud the United States, which is in Chicago. That one can be pretty tricky. I actually started a video series explaining why he should walk away from that. But
Right.
that would be the only one I'd be worried about because they're really trying to say that the trial he had in Chicago for the first child pornography case is nonsense. And they're trying to say that he cheated. So now they're essentially trying to retry him or have a variation of that trial to essentially find him guilty. So that's the one. That's the only charge I would actually be seriously worried about. I mean, as you guys know, most of the stuff.
But they gotta throw away that type of evidence because where the evidence came from in the chain of custody.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the arguments that I've made as well. Um, but I think this one is a slight different variation, right? I don't know if they're going to focus on that trial itself. They're probably more so going to focus on their allegations that he cheated. So I don't know that the evidence will even be an issue because they're not saying that you were actually guilty. They're just saying you cheated. And we're going to, take you to court because we have, these witnesses. Like I believe they went, they got, the girl, and then they got her father and her parents, and I believe they flipped them. So they're really going to push based on the allegations that he cheated. So that's the one I would be worried about because they're not going to really, in my opinion, they're not going to focus on the evidence in that trial or even the charges in that trial. They're probably just going to focus on, the witness testimony and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. But I think that if he got found guilty in these charges, I think it opens the door for a lot of appeals, and I think that would be fairly easy to get.
Oh wow! Hold on a second. I was wrong. You can get 20 years from the criminal RICO statute provides prison terms of 20 years and severe financial. Yeah, so you can get 20 years. So the RICO charge is, I guess it is something he needs to be worried about. But I still think it's nonsense. What'd you say?
But the fact that he ain't with his lawyers to prepare for trial, that gotta and go to trial.
Yeah, and that's what I was agreeing with you on because if he loses, he can easily just appeal just on the RICO value itself and just get a retrial based on that, and then he would also get a chance to see what the government actually has or how they would present the case. But like I said, that's a very risky move. You're doing it on the on the on the hopes that you would get off on RICO.
Yeah, yeah. I think that if he were found guilty in these charges, any of these cases, I think that he has a great chance of appealing. I think what's most important is that I don't know if they want him to serve necessarily jail time. I think that they're more concerned with him being the face of a pedophile. It seems to me.
Uh, Elaborate on that.
Well, because for if you look at the sequence of the buzzwords, if you will,
Hmm.
before it was he was a disgraced singer,
Hmm.
then it was he was a pedophile. That was, I mean, that's been following him for years. And then it was he coerced 14-year-olds. That was the 14-year-olds were forever. I mean, those girls are like 20 years old. And that was always 14, 14. And then when the news came out a few months ago, it said, well, R. R. Kelly has a potential of walking in his upcoming case if he pleads 1 to 3 years and go on as a, was it level 3 child molester? So I think that they really want him to be the face of that.
Where did you hear that information from?
That was like on Twitter or something, and that probably, and let me just say, that was not something that could have just been, um, something that was just out there. That was probably not, that did not probably come from like Greenberg or anything like that. That was just out
Right.
there, but was circulating. So I'm wondering if that's the case because, I think, like I said, he's been like pedophilia, but you cannot be labeled a pedophile even if the girls are 14, because to be labeled as a pedophile you have to be 13, under 13.
Well, you know what? I would say that they would want him to serve some serious time. That's my opinion. The reason I say this, you just have to look at the pattern of where this thing is going. I mean, they basically got Bill Cosby. They're going to get Cuba Gooding Jr. They got Weinstein. How much time did Weinstein get?
What,
25.
25?
25. They got Weinstein. And now they're going after a pornographer, Ron Jeremy. I
Yeah.
mean, this is what this guy did for a living, and they're going after him. So I think there's a change in the way society treats women, and there's a change in this is a deliberate attempt to make an example and to make an example of people who they believe have abused women. In R. Kelly's case, I don't think he fits in that category, but this is really for the Me Too movement, and they're just trying to make a serious statement. They're trying to make some examples because they're trying to bring about change. Now, I've always said that I do support the Me Too movement. Women have been treated unfairly in our society. I support that, but on the same token, I
Even
think
though that one of the founders of it was said to have sex with an underage boy.
really, which one? I did. This is news to me. Which one?
Uh, I can't think of her name right now.
You-
But
Let's
I'll
see it.
look it up for you. And
Let's
once
look
you
it up now.
hold on, I can go now. Hold on.
I'm doing it now.
But what
Uh,
about, I'm wondering if they're going to go after Christy Teigen too,
That's a good question.
because think about it, they were looking at her old tweets, and she and John Legend were supporters of Time's Up, and they were advocates of Time's Up and also good friends with Jussie Smollett. So I wonder what's going to happen with her, because you can't sweep that under the rug.
Well, it really all depends on what the feds want to do about it because right now there's no evidence. The only thing we have is the speculation. And me personally, I think the FBI should try to go and get her, electronic data, her phone data, get the data off her computer to see if there's any, evidence. So I think that should happen. But right now, fortunately for Chrissy Teigen, there's no evidence. There's only her tweets, right? Her tweets that basically shows like she's got some really crazy like those tweets blew my mind. She's
Yeah,
basically tweeting, "Oh, I'm in a parking lot, driving around like a pedo bear." I mean,
yeah,
who says stuff like that? Like who in the
yeah,
hell talks like that? What was another one? Crazy. She said, "Oh, I just saw a baby who looks like a porn star. Do anything." I'm like, how in the hell do you allow? You need to go and do a confession or something, or or you need to go pray. Like, how in the hell do these thoughts pop in your mind? A baby
yeah,
that looks like a porn star. Come on now. So yeah, so unfortunately, there's no evidence. There's just only these allegations. And I just hope she's just making sick jokes, and maybe it's just a Freudian slip or something like that. I hope that's all it is, and she's not out there actually molesting little toddlers and stuff like that.
especially having to.
Right, right, right. There's no telling of what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty serious, even from anybody to say. You just don't.
If
Uh,
if me or Daddy Lolo did that, we'd be in state federal lockup
of
Man,
course,
next day.
of course.
The instant we put a tweet like that out there, the FBI be at our doorstep. In probably 40 minutes to an hour.
Oh,
well,
of
look at
course.
what Cardi B said. She said she drugged people,
Yeah, she
robbed
drug
them,
people.
and
Yeah,
had sex with them.
Right, right, right.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. How she would get over on guys and basically she would drug them, then run off with their money.
yeah.
We never heard anything else about that. Like
No,
that was back. That was like 3 years ago.
No, that was like a
Oh,
year ago.
a
a
year ago.
year.
Yeah, a year ago, and it
Yeah,
just kind of got swept under the rug.
yeah. And then they sent her to charm school for a while, which is true. They sent her to charm school, and kind of gave her like a little PR person, and told her to kind really like clean up her act. Which, as you see now, that didn't help.
But you know what I say? Probably nothing happened because she ain't trying to go after $1 billion that's owed to her or trying to own a major TV network.
Oh
Right.
yeah, of course, of course. She's not like Cosby, who was trying to go after what NBC.
So, Daddy Lolo, the person you're talking about is Asian Argento, and according to
Yeah,
Google here, she had sex with an underage star and agreed to pay the accuser.
yeah.
So yeah, so I don't know how serious the Me Too movement can be when parts of the people are actually sleeping with underage kids themselves. But I I actually just think that they're really just trying to make a push to make an example of a lot of people. They want that old way of thinking where you can be an adult, be a superstar, and have multiple girlfriends or multiple husbands and all that stuff. They it's like they're trying to switch from that old way of thinking to this new way of thinking where you basically have to be a saint and you probably can't have sex unless unless it's with your wife or something like that. More casual sex.
But let me ask you: have you guys heard whatever happened to what's his name, Mundives or something? Remember his wife, the Asian wife that was on The View, and he actually blackballed Janet Jackson
Mm,
after the Super Bowl.
mm.
Remember that? And then they
I
came
remember
out.
the
Talking
Janet
about Just,
Jackson.
you talking about
Right,
Justin Timberlake?
right. He blackballed him too, but his name was, what was it, Mundives or something like that. But he women were saying that he was fondling them and sexual harassment. But he was dating the Asian lady from, is it The View with Cheryl Underwood? Which that show that she was on?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard of this individual.
Yes, her
Right,
husband.
the Janet Jackson incident for sure.
Yes, Janet Jackson. He's over, like he's like in entertainment, but he blackballed Janet Jackson. He didn't blackball Justin Timberlake because he said Justin Timberlake apologized and that was sufficient enough. But Janet Jackson did not.
Oh, he
So we
did.
didn't realize that Janet was blackballed because Janet is Janet. I mean, but I think his name is Moondeves or something. But he actually, his wife was, she was on the show with Cheryl Underwood, and she also did that show with the kids. um
Moonves.
Moonves, yes.
Moonves was obsessed with running Janet Jackson's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, 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 that's okay. If you, yeah, it's other things that if you Les Moonves, yes. And if you Google like other things about him and like sexual charges or something like that, it'll probably come up because his wife actually, she resigned from those shows because of the like,
Oh, you know what? I remember this. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember this. But she supported him though.
Yeah, she did
Order
support him
to get her in.
outwardly, but I'm sure, behind closed doors, it was something else. And she did support him, but she also resigned from her positions at the show.
Right.
Because remember, oh my goodness, I can't think of Sharon Osbourne. She
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
spoke against it and said that she believed it and supported those women as well.
So you know what this and this is what I'm saying. I think we're slowly getting into this new age, um, and that's why I don't believe they're going to let R. Kelly off with a minimum amount of time because they're trying to make example out of people, and some people are getting away, like Les Moonves. I don't think anything is going to come of that. But they're making examples out of people, and they need some martyrs, right? For this Me Too movement, and well, not martyrs, but they need some. What's the word I'm looking for? Sacrificial lambs, if you will.
Yeah.
They need
Yeah.
to make an example out of somebody, so they got, and unfortunately, black people are always the first, to take the brunt of a lot of these movements. So they got Bill Cosby, they got R. Kelly. Well, they haven't got R. Kelly. I'm sorry. They're trying to get R. Kelly. They got Bill Cosby. They're going after Cuban. Now, Cuban, I actually don't believe Cuban has a chance.
No.
And yeah, because you've seen those videos where he's, grabbing, women and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's a belligerent drunk. He gets drunk, he gets belligerent, and he just starts, you know, he's someone should have told him to stop drinking or drink at home.
Right.
Every time I see Cuban Gooding Jr. now, I think of O.J. Simpson, the role he played in the Netflix movie.
I never saw that, by the way, but yeah.
Oh, you gotta see it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I
But
mean,
I gotta go. I'll talk to you all later.
All
okay,
right. Yeah. I'm in, and I'm going to get off soon, too. But take care, Daddy Lolo.
All right.
but but let me ask you, non-lawyer. I mean, the amount of time that they're trying to give him. I mean, it seems like if you add all those numbers up, it's life to me.
Yeah. I mean, basically, in my opinion, when you look at some of me, like how long does a person live? Some people are lucky enough to live to 100. Some people are lucky enough to live to 110. When you add all those numbers up, they do equal about 100 or 110. Like I said, I do have a video on this where I try to go through all the charges and add them all up. Yeah, and then sometimes they just say life or 2 life sentences or 3 life sentences and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
And I think there is one charge that he has that has a potential for a life sentence, but all the charges combined add up to like 110 years or something like that, or something crazy.
right.
I'd have to rewatch that video to see how what the time correspond with the charges. I have to see how much time it actually is.
Yeah. And my other concern is this. Now that they're saying that he has like he's a full diabetic, he had that infected toe before. And I know it was like, okay,
Then he
that
also
wasn't,
had the surgery too.
yeah, that was no big deal. But when you have diabetes and you have infections, then next thing you know, you start getting gangrene, and then you have that, in prison, you have that starch diet.
Hmm.
Next thing you know, you start losing limbs.
Hmm.
So that's my other concern as well.
Well, you know what? People with diabetes, yeah, hop on Irish Soul. Let me give you the link.
Oh yeah,
I may not be on much longer, but let me give you the link. But people with diabetes are more likely to be fall victims. Get the worst part of COVID-19. Like if you get COVID-19 and
yeah,
you're diabetic, then there's a chance that you could possibly die.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, right now, I even think about, what Steve Greenberg saying as far as his mental faculties. He said before he was in good spirits. Now, not so much. He's locked down 24 hours a day. And, that's a lot. That's a lot on a person.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And like I said, I've said this before, and many people don't really see my logic, but I think a lot of times when they do stuff like that, they're trying to break you.
Yes,
They're
yes,
trying to
they
break
are.
They want
Yes,
you to take some outrageous plea deal.
yes, yes. I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. And you remember, different case, but remember that kid, the Khalif Brower. They, Jay Z just did a documentary on that kid, where
Was that
they
the guy who stole a book bag or something?
the book bag, yes,
Yeah, I
and
remember.
they talked about that, and you're absolutely right. They're trying to break him,
Right.
Be- because he's locked down. They were saying he's locked down because of COVID and who he is. But 24 hours a day without a television?
Is he still locked down like that? I
Yeah.
thought they put him back in Gen Pop.
No, Steve Greenberg said a couple of weeks ago on a Chicago interview that he is locked down 24 hours a day.
Oh, they trying to break him. They trying to break
Yeah.
him.
Because before, early on, I thought, when Nicole Blank Becker was talking early on, she said that he had a laptop. But now I don't know what happened to that, because that hasn't been mentioned.
Mm.
But they said now he doesn't even have a television, and he's locked down 24 hours a day. I don't even know, can you get books in there? I mean, in that type of situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never.
Me either. I'm sorry. No,
Yeah,
no,
no, no.
that
I
wasn't a
mean, yeah,
question.
I would imagine you can get some type of commissary where you can, you
I
know,
mean,
you can have some type of connection to the outside world. I would imagine you could.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and even if your lawyers could barely talk to you, they haven't seen him in 4.5 months because of COVID, and the conversations are limited.
Yeah,
You're absolutely
there's
right.
no way that they can actually have a trial anytime soon. So maybe that's really the main reason. Like, even though the prosecutors are saying they want to push this thing back because of complications to COVID-19, they probably know that if they had a trial and they won, they probably know it'd be an instant appeal. So,
Yeah.
that's probably why they, are trying to push this thing back.
Yes. Yes. And I know, like I said, I was reading the other day, in one of the spokespeople from Chicago worked in the district attorney's office, and said that they actually can take some of the transcripts from New York to Chicago,
Of course, yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and use it in that aspect.
and
Hopefully,
that's why he has to do very well
yeah,
in all these cases, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because any loss or any blow, any serious blow he takes, they're going to try to use it in the
mhm,
next trial.
right,
They're going to say, well, in New York, he was convicted of A, B, C, and D, or or something to that nature, right? So he definitely has to, do a very good job in New York. When he eventually goes to trial. Like I said, the RICO charge is just 100% BS.
yeah,
And if you don't have the RICO charge, what do you have? You know what I mean?
right,
So I think the New York trial he should win, easy. So
mhm,
long as I don't know what the time frame is for the hearing on the motion to dismiss the RICO charge, but I think that's going to be kind of like a pre-trial sort of thing where they determine whether or not the RICO trial is valid, and then if that gets thrown out, then they'll just have a trial on the remaining stuff. Now, again, remember the RICO charge is important because they're using it to bring in a lot of old garbage.
yeah. But also, he has that Mann Act too.
The what?
The Mann Act.
Is that in the New York trial?
Yes,
Are you serious?
yes,
When did they add that? Because I think you know what? I never looked at the New York trial.
yeah.
I mean, the
That's the
New York indictment. I kind of just kind of like skimmed over it.
yeah,
The Chicago indictment is what I actually did kind of like a legal analysis on.
yeah. So the big ones are the Mann Act and also the RICO.
Are you sure?
But
How do you know? Did you actually look at the indictment?
it's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now, what they were saying is that the Mann Act was antiquated and that he shouldn't even have been charged with that Mann Act.
so the Mann Act is what is the Mann Act? Mann Act, other short titles: White Slave Traffic, 1910, long title. An act to further regulate interstate or foreign commerce by prohibiting transportation therein for immoral purposes of women and girls and for other purposes. Wow, so that's in the New York trial, huh?
Yes, those are the two big things. That's what everyone's been talking about. That's the big thing. Is the man they're trying to charge him with that Mann Act and that the RICO. And like even Steve Greenberg said that um that the RICO he mainly talked about the RICO case a couple of weeks ago. And like he said that the RICO charge was not designed in the way that they're charging him for.
Right, and you can plainly see that, right?
Yes,
Because they're
right,
trying to say that one person is an enterprise and one person can't be an enterprise. R. Kelly is a person who had a music business, a legitimate music business, and he was using his company to basically tour across the United States. And of course, he can't manage all that by himself, so he has to have employees. So they're trying to hijack, his company to say that it was for the purpose of, having sex with girls. I mean, look, you're an entertainer. You're on the road, for extended periods of time. You don't even have enough time to basically coordinate your own food, right? So that's how busy I can imagine he was. So the fact, like he and every other rock star out there were, having sex with their groupies. Eric Benet was one of those guys that used to have sex with a lot of his groupies. At least I think I allege. I don't know that that's true. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if it's true, but Eric Benet was one of those
right,
musicians who allegedly, had groupies that he would, knock off from time to time. And I think most successful, popular musicians do this, right?
right,
And they're trying to say just because they do this doesn't mean that their whole purpose for their music, their entertainment business is just to have sex. No, it's just a byproduct. You're on the road, you're lonely, what are you going to do? Just sit in a hotel and just hold your hand? What are you going to do?
right. Well, we actually had we a couple months ago we were on one of the radio stations, and his name was Terry. He actually toured with. He was actually very good friends with Gerald Levert, and he was on the Private Line tour, and R. Kelly was on that tour. And like he said, a lot of things that people think that goes on is not true.
Right,
There's a lot of you have these groupies that basically are groping the entourage to get to the celebrity.
right,
So and like he said, this by the time you finish, you perform, you get off stage, you're so exhausted. So a lot of times the entourage is actually entertaining the women.
right.
I think Iris just came in.
Yeah, what's going on, Iris? So pleasure to meet you. First time talking to you.
Oh, she's phenomenal.
Hello, listen, thanks a million for the invite. Okay, this is all the way from the UK. Isn't it amazing? Low down, how are you doing?
I'm phenomenal, honey. How are you?
I'm good actually. I do apologise. I'm on my way to work and I woke up this morning and instead of, I guess, my morning prayers, naturally I turned on the YouTube and used were it, I do say a prayer for O'Kelly every morning, every night. But yeah, I just wanted to say, guys, it's easier said than done from my perspective. You know what I mean? I have my freedom, and when somebody's locked in and locked down, especially under these conditions, you just want out. You just want out. You want it over and done with.
And
Yeah, he's this man. He's under so much stress and pressure, stuff that we would never be able to endure. One of the things that caught my attention about this from the beginning is that he has refused to accept these charges from day one. There's a reason why he's done that, I believe, is because of his innocence and nothing more. So when you're innocent of something, okay, you don't want to accept something that's not on you, and especially from a man of his position. So if it was an ordinary Joe Soap, eventually or after a while, you know, I don't know what would happen. You get what I mean? A plea, whatever. But with this particular situation, you're absolutely right. You know, in saying that it's about the law. It's about an old, trying to hold up an old law. Okay, the laws in the United States, from where I'm standing, are very regimented, and they've needed changing for a long time. And now, here comes up, and here comes up. One, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And here's a man, or Kelly, in the MeToo movement, which I'll get to that in a second if you don't mind. This is what it's about. It's about winning. And what they've done is they've observed, the prosecutors and people have observed this right from the beginning. And they have every intention of winning this case because, one, okay, they don't want, you know, to look stupid. They don't want to pay out all that money, you know, to the public and admit that they actually took the wrong man down. Okay, so they're going to up their game at this stage. Okay, but what we've got the people versus the prosecution. So they've seen now that people are coming out and more awareness is being raised. And I strongly, strongly believe in the people's voice. And so with these rallies taken off and stuff, that's going to hit across the globe. So, you know, if anybody's going to be fighting R. Kelly's defense, is going to be his people and his support. Yes, there's going to be the legal team. He's going to need that. They're the ones that are going to argue legally to try and get him off the case. But the awareness raised is very, very valuable in this. So it'll be a bit like, in the end, my word against yours. Do you understand?
Right.
And there has to be an equal balance around that. You know, if you look at the Me Too movement, over here, there's the Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I heard about. Yeah, I've been, you know, kind of getting bits and pieces of what's going on with that. So Johnny Depp is actually is he going through a divorce, or is he just suing his ex-wife?
Yeah, no, what's happened is, okay, the Sun paper or the Mirror paper, I think it was the Sun paper over here, when he was going through that with his ex-wife now, highlighted in the paper that what you call, he was a wife beater and stuff like that. And at that time, nobody had any evidence of anything.
Right.
Okay, but they just really scrutinized him. Now, what's happening over here, and it's slowly happening, but it's recognizable now, is that these artists, the same as R. Kelly, now not as I mean, he is right up at the top, but you had Cliff Richard, you had a couple of people who the papers and the media tried to slate and slaughter and destroy their career. Okay.
Right.
And now what they've done is they've started to take a stand against it. So Johnny Depp took his time, took a bit of time out, came back, and this is his angle. He's going in now against these papers, okay? So here's the deal. I couldn't believe this. Please go in and watch it. He goes in, right? He's turning up in court every day, and he's got all these supporters outside. Amber comes over with her team over from America. Now, she didn't have to come over. She's just, you know, she didn't have to. She could have just given a written statement. She came over for a reason, and it was to prove a point. Okay. Now they're divorced. It's over. You know, they're not together anymore. She's with some woman. Okay. So they both moved on. But she comes over and she gives this speech outside the court. Oh my God. And it was so dramatic. If you actually look at it, and I'll send you the links, right? You
Yeah, send
can
me the links.
see,
I'll check it out.
you can actually see exactly what this is about. And she has been told to lie about this. It was actually her team in the background that told her to pull this out on him in the first place. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the one that was
Yeah.
the abuser. He
Yeah.
was the one that took it. Now, she lied. She absolutely lied, and she took his finger right off. The top of his finger right off. Okay. But what happened was, when they both ended up in the hospital that evening, the doctors have recorded her speaking about it because they had to try and separate them, send her home. She's on antipsychotic medication. Okay. So she's got mental health, but it's the indictiveness and the twisted mindset, honestly. And it's so visual because of this Kelly situation now that I can see this. Most of the population just look and go, oh, like whatever, they're
Yeah,
rich
no,
and famous.
I heard bits and pieces about that trial. So for what I can understand, Johnny Depp was basically portrayed as a wife beater, and then as it turns out, to me, it seems like she was actually the abuser in
Yeah.
the relationship.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
did
She
he actually
was.
win the trial, or is the trial still ongoing?
No. What he's done here is he's gone
The paper.
against the papers first. If he gets a win with that, okay, it's going to look better for him. What he does with Amber, but if he's took that move, you can guarantee that he's going to go further in clearing his name with abuse with her. Okay.
Right. Oh, for sure.
So that's the difference between a smaller population and a larger population in two different countries. Can you see where I'm coming from? With our Kelly situation, I believe he's innocent. I've never believed anything other, and that is the truth. I wouldn't have my mind, changed in any way. Not because I've looked at the facts and I've looked at it and observed it from both sides. And this has been happening to him from day one. I don't believe that that's him in the tape. I believe it's a complete setup. I believe that from the day he ended up in Hollywood or got there, that this was in the writing, one way or another. Okay.
Well, I think that, and I say this all the time. And I don't know how to make myself a little bit more clear. Unfortunately, Jesus was innocent, and they still crucified him, right? So it's a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to win it,
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of people don't realize, that it doesn't really matter if you're innocent. The only thing that matters is, can you survive or can you win?
Right. But over here now, Johnny Depp has been cleared of a lot of that, and people have actually come forth, celebrities, and apologized to him because he was actually abused. Matter of fact, we did a live we were talking about that yesterday. We kind of touched on that. Passion and I, we were talking about women who are predators, and we brought up the Johnny Depp situation because actually there's about 13% of the population now, as of 2019, of women in federal prison who are actually in there for abusing men.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 13%, and it could be more, but more men have not been believed. And one of our family friends, he's a psychologist. He said, the problem is that men don't come forward. People don't believe him. But even in the R. Kelly situation, is that he does not fit the profile of what he's accused of. Because you don't become rich and then all of a sudden you become a pedophile, an abuser, and all of these things. He would have been those things even as a child. He would have shown signs of these things as a child.
Right.
Okay,
So you know what? Let me switch gears. You know what, Irish? So I actually want
Yeah.
to try to schedule some time to you to talk about the law in the UK, which I think it would be really interesting. So I'll reach out for you later on that. But let me switch gears real fast, and then I'm actually going to go to bed soon here. What do you
Oh, what
guys think
time is it?
about? Huh?
Sorry, what time is it over there?
Oh,
It,
it's 2 a.m. But
oh,
I
2 a.m.
trade.
is 12:57 for me. It's 1 o'clock for me.
Oh yeah, it's.
Wow.
But I'm up. I trade at night, so I'm up.
Oh,
Ah, right.
you trade?
Yeah, I trade futures at night.
Oh wow! Look at you! Look at you! We got
Wow.
that's another video we got to talk about because I was
Nice.
actually talking to a buddy of mine and he was asking me about stocks and things of that nature.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, we definitely have to talk. But look, let's switch
Go
gears.
on. Yes, yes, yes. Go
Let's switch
on.
gears.
Mhm.
Ron Jeremy, what are you guys thinking about Ron Jeremy? Because it kind of fits into the same space where we're talking about the Me Too movement and these sexual allegations. And Iris, so do you know who Ron Jeremy is?
Well, I was about to say I don't actually, and if you can take a leaf out of that book when it comes to R. Kelly, that even though he's a big international star and a lot of people would probably recognize him through his song, they wouldn't probably, some people wouldn't recognize him from his name. So this is what I'm saying to you about raising awareness and getting the word more out. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead. Who's Dawn?
So,
Another one we've
so
got,
Ron
eh? Another one.
Jeremy, and I got a video on my channel about it, and there's more videos to come. I'm actually waiting for one of the videos to be approved or not approved, and then whatever happens, I'm going to post it. But I have a series running about him. So Ron Jeremy is a pornographer, right? He
Yeah.
is a pornographer, and he's been a pornographer it's probably since the 80s.
Yeah.
And what's happened is that people are coming out.
Sorry.
Go
One,
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead. Go on. Sorry, it's the train over
Oh,
the other
okay.
side.
So
Go on, I'll go in here.
So it's very similar to the R. Kelly situation where you have people coming out saying that he sexually abused him. Now with Ron Jeremy's case, there is footage of him groping and touching women, but it's kind of a gray area because these are promotional videos and these are um, situations where they're going out in front of camera and they're trying to sell product. Right, so
Mm.
he's in character for the most part. So I don't know if any of those women are actually going to be women that are actually going to testify against him. But the whole thing is complicated. Again, I believe that women have been treated unfairly, but I think some people are just simply taking advantage.
Oh
No, do
yeah.
you know something? What I think, if I can just say this, and I'd love to hook up with you because not only would I like to speak about the laws or whatever, it's the human rights of this, and where O'Kelly really stands on this. And there's so much around this that needs to be raised in the government's direction, like your European Parliament for change, stuff like that I've raised a year ago. Because if you think of Bill Cosby, okay, he was somebody that I didn't know, was innocent or guilty. I mean, I just seen it on the telly quickly. Yeah. Now he's inside, and it's took him this length of time to be heard in a high court. Is that correct? Okay. So
Mhm.
what we need to do is not get R. Kelly to that stage.
Mm,
That's what we need to do as people, as his supporters, as his fans. Okay. We need to up our game. Now, even though you're in America, okay, and I don't live over there, and it's easier said than done from where I'm standing, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise, okay? Because if America, and which they have, got away with this for too long, this guy, Don, even though I don't know him, okay, it looks like he started off his life as a career with this. He felt comfortable doing this. The difference with R. Kelly is he's a master in his music. He's made it for 30 years. I don't have to tell you that. He's sang for the best of people. His frame of mind and his frame of reference, his whole career, okay, is coming from a totally different perspective. And here's what they've done. They've come along and they've stuck every charge under the sun, okay? They've stripped him down bare and moved. And psychologically, from where I'm standing, okay, they're not treating him any different than a US prisoner on death row. Okay, so if you look at the Human Rights Act, the human rights laws, and the laws in the United States, they are actually committing the crimes. Okay, they're committing the crimes by doing this. So what they're going to do now is try and put pressure, more pressure, and bring out. So like what you said, I don't think they might focus on this, but they're going to focus on the witness statements most of all. Well,
Right.
people on R. Kelly's side, that can be evened out and equaled out, okay? Because he can have the same amount of witnesses. Does that make sense to counteract everything that they're saying? So, you know, in terms of the law, there is no doubt in my mind that this has needed to happen for a long time, and they refuse to budge from their beliefs. Okay, so what they've done is they've transferred their beliefs, and it's called transferences, you see, and they're saying, no, this is what we think of you, and this is what's happening, and you're going down for this. And O'Kelly is saying, listen, I'm an innocent man here. Okay, yeah. And he has the people now, hopefully his farms as well as his legal team or whatever, you know, to fight this, and he has to stick it out. He doesn't have to, regardless of what he does, I'm going to respect O'Kelly in any way, his decision, regardless, because somebody came in earlier and said he does still have rights and he does still have laws. But if you think about being innocent for a minute and being inside for something that you did not do,
Happens all the time.
Huh?
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
In your country.
Yeah.
Not.
I don't know how it works in the UK, but
no, it does. It does, but not as much. Trust me. Trust me on that. It doesn't. We have complete freedom of speech over here. I'm not saying you don't, because if you look at the George Floyd, Lord rest his soul, you know, that turnout, that's the power that I believe that in the people can end up turning the O'Kelly situation around. Okay, it's going to take a little bit longer, but if O'Kelly can stick it out, if he can stick it out, okay, I believe that the USA will have no choice but to listen. It doesn't mean to say they're going to change their laws, but eventually they will have to listen. Because remember this, and I'm going to finish on this. O'Kelly is not asking for anything that he does not already deserve and is entitled to. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
So, yes. So this is, you know, that's my perception on it. You know what I mean? And what I think we as people and the supporters is reaching out to him. You know, the COVID is going to wind down. The lockdown is going to become less for people in prison. I believe over here where I work, and I have I speak to prisoners, you know, out on tags and licenses and stuff like that. And it's, you know, the way it's gone inside is even the staff have gone so lackadaisy. They're like one of the prisoners. You get what I'm saying to you? Like, it's just, you know, they're in 23 hours a day, 23 and a half. They're in the cell all the time. You know, they've nothing to do. Some people are chewing and pulling their nails off, their fingernails off. They can't cope with it, you know. So if you look at you know, the other side and how they operate, it's to do with the psychological, trying to break a person and shut them down completely. Okay, so O'Kelly needs that spiritual strength, and the way he can receive that spiritual strength is by action from people like us, his supporters, his fans. Action, 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 action.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely, you are a diehard fan. And if you could, I don't know if you're on Twitter, but if you're on Twitter, definitely shoot me a mail, non-lawyer one. We need to coordinate and we need to talk about what's going on in the UK from a legal perspective.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how the law impacts a person from a day-by-day situation. I'm really interested in doing some live sessions with you. But I want to...
Well, I'd love to, and thanks for asking me. You know, this is what I'm saying to you. It's not an America. Everybody thinks because it's in America, it's America thing. Well, I don't think like that, because O'Kelly has had fans all over the world, okay?
Oh, sure.
And we come into it as a culture, as a nation. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying to you? And this is really about change. So you've got to have a mark of respect for this man. The way he's carrying on his shoulders, it is like he's carrying the whole world on his shoulders because he has stood up for change. And there's a saying in Ireland, be prepared to be on the firing line when you stand up for change. Okay. So he needs all our love, respect, everything to go his way. So I will hit you up, liar. What's it called? Non-liar one on Twitter.
Yeah,
I
non-lawyer
will do
on
that.
Twitter. Yeah, send me an inbox mail,
Yeah.
and we can coordinate because I really want to talk about the law, how it affects average everyday people
Yeah.
in the UK. Now you're in London, right?
No. I'm in Manchester area, like the northwest. Well, I'm going through. I'm going to be going into Manchester now on a train, just outside of Manchester. That's where I am.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
let
don't
me
know.
let me switch gears really fast.
Okay.
So, Big Jub Bankroll basically is asking a question: how do you guys feel about his team of lawyers? Do you think they're doing a good job? Now, I'm going to say this: like, I think this question came up one time when we did a session with Trent, and the session kind of went bad. I think Trent was saying that in New York he needs to get rid of one of the lawyers. I'll say this: I don't know much about the actual lawyers in the case, but what I'll say is that I've seen some really good motions come through. Right? I think one of the
Yeah.
points that Trent made is that you need to find lawyers who are associated with some of the judges in this case, and I agree with that 100%. But besides that, I can't really speak towards how good the lawyers are. I can say that the bail motion was pretty good. And we're going to hear an oral argument on September 9th. And I can say the motion to dismiss the RICO charge was pretty good, and the motion to dismiss the STD claim was pretty good because one of the things they're trying to hit him with is that he gave somebody herpes, and I thought that motion was pretty good. So I can see good motions coming through, but I can't really tell you. I'm not really paying attention to the lawyers, so I can't really say whether or not they're good, doing a
Yeah.
good job or not.
Well, let
Well,
me
there's
just
quite.
say this. Just kind of being here and just what's his name? Doug Anton. I'm not sure if he's still the lawyer. Some people say he is on the team. Some people say he's not on it. I don't know. But Doug Anton is pretty connected in New Jersey and in New York.
Mm.
So just because he's in New Jersey does not mean that he has no connections in New York, because he is, people think that he's an entertainment lawyer, and yeah, but we have to realize that, or understand that entertainment lawyers, although they handle like celebrity contracts, celebrities get in trouble too. So they want like the one-stop shop.
Mm.
So they can handle different, parts of the contract, and I mean parts of the cases. And it's really not for us to say whether or not a person is a good lawyer, because at the end of the day, you know, R. Kelly hired him. But I agree with you.
Exactly.
I think that they have put some really good motions through. And again, just because he's in New Jersey, I can honestly say that he's so close to New York where he is, that, and he's always in New York, that don't think that just because he's in New Jersey that he's not connected to lawyers in New York, because I'm sure he is. But we have to sit back. This is a very complicated case, and even
Exactly.
some of the, I haven't seen a lawyer or even a judge, because you hear different things. But like all of them have said, that this case is so unique that
And
it,
why do
it's
you think that low down? Why do you think it's unique? It's very obvious to me why, right, standing here. But why do you think it's so unique?
well, because the first thing is, you never really hear about a celebrity being charged with a RICO.
Right.
You never hear him getting charged with a Mann Act.
They're
You
really
never,
going after this guy.
yeah.
The Mann Act, you do, because I think they got another uh, popular celebrity uh, for the Mann Act. I forget his name, but it was way back in the day. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. Was it a boxer? I think it was non-lawyer.
I think it was a musician. I forget his name. It was a black guy.
Okay, so well, I mean, not that I've known. I mean, I could be wrong, but like some of the charges that he's gotten, um, and
The effort that they're
the effort,
putting
yeah.
is
And I mean,
unprecedented.
you're talking about the jurisdictions, what is it, 2 or 3 jurisdictions? I
Mhm.
mean, that's unique. And also, even with like I said, the spokesperson in Chicago said that this is like a black hole. That was their words. They said this is a black hole because normally you're not charged in 2 jurisdictions and going through 2 trials at the same time. Okay, when he said that, some people say, well, it's not like he's going in October at the same time, but he's charged around the same time and he's kind of going simultaneously. That's what they're saying. So it's not like it's not don't look at it as literal, but that's what they were saying.
Chuck
Well,
Berry
well,
was the other musician who,
Okay.
yeah.
well, it just to say this, right? One of the reasons why it's so kind of, well, I guess, if you want to use the word unique, is they've come along and they've probably slapped every charge on them that you could think of. Now, that in itself is deliberate.
Right.
Okay,
And
so they slapped it on him. Okay, so there was a reason why they did that, in the hope that he wouldn't even be alive right now.
right.
Let's get real here. Okay, so how it's unique for me living across is this. Okay, under the the the, the amount of pressure and stress on any man, because I haven't witnessed this before ever in my life. He has, okay, his legal team said, Stephen Greenberg, he used the word exponent. Okay, so he went inside from a life, hopeful. Okay, exponent means almost giving up hope or no hope. Okay, despondent, losing all hope. Okay, and so this is the place where they want him. Okay, so it's unique to me is because it's for lots of reasons, but just to say one reason is that he has stood up to all of this for today.
oh yeah.
Okay, so that's unique because he hasn't. He is saying no, 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 no. Secondly, just to get back to this about the legal team, you know what? I do believe the legal team did their best. I communicated with Douglas Santon. I won't go into that over, something whatever. He is a genuine nice guy. Okay, he's genuinely nice guy. He was helpful from the other side of his communication and correspondence, and he wanted to help. Does that make sense? He
It makes
wanted to.
sense.
Yeah.
Now the thing with his legal team is it's kind of like you hire somebody, they have to be good enough if O'Kelly hired them. But then there comes a place with this, okay? If it's such a mess and a minefield that even they can only go so far with it. Does that make sense? I mean, they might stay with him, I don't know, but it's very clear to me that a specialist in this area, and there is specialists in this area that can deal with this whole situation. Okay.
Let me hop over to another question, and I'm going to get offline soon. Uh,
Yeah.
Big Jove Bankroll, do you guys think the interview he did with Gayle King helped or hurt him? Definitely hurt, in my opinion. It could have been good. It could have been good, but I just think that the CBS news team or media team, they were out to get him. They were out for blood from day one. And I personally think that R. Kelly could have done his own interviews that he controlled, and that would have been better for him instead of, because we live in a day and age of social media, right? So R. Kelly can easily just have someone sit down and interview him, and it's an interview that he can control. Later for going out, to all these other people to do interviews, and those people don't have your best interest at heart.
Right. And he could have had predetermined questions. He could have said, okay, these are the questions I want to ask. But what I think, to me, it was not the interview questions that hurt him. It was the way that she slandered him afterwards.
Mm.
Because after Gail went on different talk show medias and also asked for a raise. So to me, that's what happened. They also they focused on his, I'm going to say, excitement and his emotions.
Mhm.
And if you're facing, I don't know how many years it is, but this astronomical amount of years,
Anybody's
aren't you,
going to be excited and emotional.
aren't you going to be emotional?
Hell yeah.
Because think about it. This man has been dealing with this for 30 years. And
Right.
although
Yeah.
people always say, I know what R. Kelly is thinking, and he would do this. R. Kelly made a statement a few years ago. He said, the only person who knows what I'm thinking is Bin Laden because everyone hated him. That's what he said.
Right.
So, it's hard to say what this man is thinking. And it's hard to say, well, this is what he said because he's the one who released the statement. And if I'm facing 5 years or 10 years,
Let me tell you something. If I'm facing 6 months, I'm losing my mind. I don't give a damn.
right, because remember, what they started doing was they started mentally imprisoning him.
Right.
They started
That's the
taking
one.
away, they started taking away his shows. They started, getting into him mentally. So what they started doing slowly over the years doing this. But then what started happening was, I hate to say it, but his own people started attacking him.
Mm.
So right now it's almost like it's him against the world. He
Mm.
doesn't know who he could trust.
I know.
Yeah, but
I
Big
know.
Job, I'm going to end this after
Yeah. But I just want to
Yes,
say one more thing. I'm going to
go
go,
ahead.
but I want to say one more thing. So Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard, we're going to do another radio show.
Hmm.
It's going to be radio. It's going to be radio and internet. It's going to be streaming. They have 200 million listeners and subscribers, and we're going to be talking about the Me Too Times Up movement, and we're going to be on Passionate Gangsters channel, and I'm going
Give
to
them
be in
my
the
love,
station.
won't you? Yeah. Give them my love, passionate.
I
Passionate
will. I
gangster.
will. So
Lovely lady.
okay, I
Yeah.
will. So you guys come on over on Saturday, and
Okay.
we're gonna put the flyer up Wednesday or Thursday. But we have to get these things. Me Too affects R. Kelly, but it also affects. It could be your brother, your cousin, your nephew.
Oh, like
So
I said, this is to bring about a total change in our
right,
society. For
right.
sure.
But
It's not
but I
really.
have.
R.
Yeah.
Kelly is just an example, but go ahead.
Interesting. Yeah, but I just want to let you guys know that, but I have to go. Irish, is always a pleasure. Non-lawyer, thank you so very much, but I have to go.
Yeah.
But again, you guys come over on Saturday, and we'll put the information out. This has been a great live non-lawyer. I didn't even know you did live, but I'm so happy so we can get to do this more often if you don't mind.
Well,
Yeah.
this was an impromptu live, but yeah, I'll try to do them more often.
Okay, great. Well, everyone have a good night, and thank you again.
Okay, and I'm out of here too.
Good night.
Again, Irish Soul. I can't wait to for you to DM me and Twitter
I
so we
will.
can set some things up and let's talk about the law.
And everybody at the train station in the UK has heard this conversation. We're getting the word out as we speak. Go on. So I'll definitely inbox you. Okay. And just quickly to say, I think the Gail King is going to be a blessing in disguise because it highlights psychological abuse towards a man who was under extreme pressure. So I believe that is going to be a blessing in his disguise. That's just my opinion. Right, I'm going to let you go, and thanks for having me again. And I really, really appreciate it because it's really good. Because over here, to have a voice over across there, every bit contributes. So I'll leave it there. Okay.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
All the best. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
take care. All right, everybody, I'm out. Talk to you guys later.